This spectacular panorama of the Judean hills probably isn't a typical Christmas image, but we are looking at a very significant pathway in the Christmas story. And the events and characters were foretold centuries ahead. Listen to Numbers 24:17. I see him, but not here and now. I perceive him, but far in the distant future. A star will rise from Jacob, a scepter will emerge from Israel. It will crush the heads of Moab's people, cracking the skulls of the people of Sheth. Sounds a little grisly, Dr. Evans, but we have an allusion here both to the promised Messiah and the monster of Christmas.
Herod was a monster, all right. He did a lot of things, especially near the end of his life. Historians talk about it. Josephus, the Jewish historian, talks about it. Even his friend Augustus Caesar made a remark that he'd rather be Herod's pig than his son. That's the reputation Herod had in those final days. He executed 3 of his sons. He killed other family members. And so the story of Jesus and his birth and the threat against him and against his family, this fits into a particular period of history that was dangerous. And you might say what Herod was trying to do from our point of view was to kill Christmas before it even started. And his murderous actions and intents set people fleeing in all directions.
Well, this is called by some the way of Miriam, Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus, because after the massacre of the innocents, Herod ordering the death, the slaughter of all the babies in Bethlehem 2 and under, they were instructed to get out of town, head for Egypt. And I really hope that they didn't risk this elevation on their way, because it's really a little bit scary. You don't want to be scared of heights up here. Probably they took the lower Wadi.
I think they would have, because they would have had access to water. They would have had some shade and some shelter. It would have been a little safer. But up here, I'm glad we are up here, because it gives us a chance to look at the lay of the land, and for people to realize, hey, you know, this could be very hostile terrain, and so you better know what you're doing if you're going to travel through this part of the country.
Now I have another scripture, Isaiah 60 verse 3 in the King James Version. 700 years before the birth of Jesus, Isaiah wrote, "Nations shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising." This is the way the wise men came, however many there were. But they weren't kings,
well,
Dr. Evans?
No, they weren't really kings. They're called magi, but I think it's significant that Herod was willing to give them an audience. So they had at least a status that approximated being ambassadors, and ambassadors represent kings. So I think allowing for the hyperbole and the colorful language of Scripture, I think that's a pretty good prophecy, and I think it was fulfilled.
We can't even begin to unpack the astral projections about that star that they followed, but isn't it exciting? All of the scientific ideas, evidence of the possibilities that could have created that.
That's right, and there are actually several possibilities, and that's part of the problem. There are too many options, and so we can continue to consider these possibilities historically and also astronomically.
Now, as we were just getting warmed up here, and it's warm up here, you were telling me that you have walked the Wadi at a lower elevation. You've gone through here.
I have, and Wadi Kelt is it's attractive. It's actually surprisingly cool because you're shaded. You also enjoy a breeze. There is some trees and some green foliage along the way.
Yeah,
there's St. George's Monastery. And it's peaceful. I think that's what I like most. It's very peaceful, it's very quiet, you can meditate, and you can think about what a great history has transpired in this land.
Could you care to make any kind of projection on how long those men spent seeking Jesus? How long were they on those camels?
Well, of course, we don't know how far east they were, and therefore how far they had to travel west. But at the very least, it would have been several weeks. I suspect they traveled for several months.
Well, we can't conclude without the challenge that those seeking men bring, and that is wise men still seek Jesus. And we don't have to go that route. You don't have to go this route. You can just open your heart to Him. And I certainly hope that this most fulfilling adventure that we've been able to share with you from the land has enriched your Christmas this year. Dr. Evans, New Testament scholar, teaching here in the land. We are so grateful to have had this time with you.
It's been fun for me too. I'm glad I've had a chance to do this.
Have a wonderful Christmas.